Narinder Kaur. Kate attack. Hello, I'm HG Tudor. If I had asked many of you recently who Narinder Kaur is, I suspect a lot of you would have scratched your heads and gone, who? Some of you may recall her as a contestant on one of the early Big Brothers in the United Kingdom. Others of you might have said, isn't that the lady who pops up as a commentator on Good Morning Britain, GB News, and Loose Women? But many of you wouldn't know who she is. However, that may well have changed as a consequence of a recent storm that she has created following a comment that she made on X, which provoked a considerable backlash on X, which then transitioned across to mainstream media. I'm going to examine what was stated and what it tells us about Narinder Kaur, what we can understand from this observation, where she felt compelled to pass comment on the Princess of Wales. Let's start by examining what she wrote. The Daily Mail, like many outlets, provided a picture of the Princess of Wales as she watched the Remembrance Sunday memorial service. And they provided on their social media outlet on X, brave Kate Middleton watches on as dutiful Prince William and King Charles lay wreaths at emotional Remembrance Sunday memorial service as the nation falls silent in tribute to the glorious dead. Quite why they can't call her the Princess of Wales rather than keep referring her to as Kate Middleton, but that's something for another day. In response to this, Narinder Kaur wrote, "Genuine question. Why has Kate aged so much? Isn't she only 42? Is she a smoker? It's the only explanation." And you can see her tweet, which appears on the screen. Let's break this down so we gain understanding with regard to her behaviour. First of all, she is expressing an opinion. She is entitled to do that, just like you are and just like I am. Everybody is entitled to express an opinion. Unfortunately, a lot of opinions that are expressed aren't really worth listening to or reading because they're ill-founded, prejudiced, biased, not founded on actual evidence. But first of all, she has an opinion, and she is allowed to express her opinion. Nevertheless, rather than express this opinion privately to her husband, if she's married, to a family member, a friend, she feels the need to broadcast her thoughts and opinions to that of the nation by placing it on social media. That demonstrates a degree of self-absorption. However, we do take into account that, as far as I understand, this woman makes a living from being a talking head, appearing on various news shows and magazine shows. And therefore, one could understand that, commensurate with that role, she believes that it's part of what she does to express opinion on current affairs, and she's simply performing her job, if you will, by making the comment that she did. Accordingly, there is some legitimacy in feeling the need to express her view on social media. Now let's look at what she actually wrote. She starts with genuine question. One always arches an eyebrow when somebody does that, because why do you feel the need to preface it? You perhaps regard what you're asking as likely to be questioned, and therefore one would suggest perhaps you ought to think carefully before you open your mouth or let your fingers type. Nevertheless, she then asks, why has Kate aged so much? We all age. I'm a little bit older than I was when I started this video. Has Catherine aged so much? It's rather subjective. I don't think that she has. But let's give Kaur the benefit of the doubt and say that she has aged so much. So what? There's a lady that has aged. Okay, she's a public figure. You might find it interesting that she's aged, but at the end of the day, it's hardly a pressing matter. It's hardly something that's central to human existence. Is it the case that Narinder Kaur is really interested in the source of this supposed ageing? Is it that she's so concerned about Catherine and that she looks older and perhaps older than she ought to do? Or is it the case that there's something else at work? Is this somebody who is exhibiting genuine compassion for the Princess of Wales? Oh, why she aged so much? Or is it something else at work? Now, interestingly, hasn't there been somebody else that has repeatedly commented upon the Prince and Princess of Wales vis-a-vis age? Ah, yes, Christopher Boosey. He told his followers on X that Kate and William were aging as quickly as bananas, and he didn't understand why, since they have a team of people who wait on them hand and foot 24/7. We all know why Boosey writes as he does. He also commented, "I'm sorry, except you're not, but William and Kate look like Harry's aunt and uncle," which they clearly don't, and rather ridiculous to make such an observation in respect of old hairplugs Harry. Thus, we know that there are other individuals that engage in baiting and provoking vis-a-vis the appearance of the Princess of Wales. Accordingly, might that be what we're witnessing here? She then asks, isn't she only 42? Yes, she is, and to my mind she looks her age. She doesn't look older than 42 to my mind. Indeed, you could construct an argument that as a whole she looks younger than her age. Have a look at some of this. Here's the Princess of Wales in some relatively recent pictures, showing off her athleticism and what could only be described as a well-honed body. Indeed, I'm sure that there are many people of a similar age to the Princess of Wales who'd say, I wish I looked that good at that age. I think on any fair viewing, you would say that not only does she invariably dress in an elegant fashion, but she looks after herself. And she's naturally slender, but you can see the muscle tone that exists, that she's sporty and athletic, and therefore actually has the body of someone that is younger. Accordingly, to suggest that isn't she only 42 is disingenuous, because the evidence goes against that. Now, facially, you would suggest she looks around her age. I wouldn't suggest that she looks older than 42. What else did Kaur focus on? She then asked, is she a smoker? No, and you know fine well she is not. You do not see pictures of the Princess of Wales having a sneaky fag, a la the style of Camilla. She doesn't smoke. We don't see her smoking, and therefore Narinder Kaur knows full well that the Princess of Wales doesn't smoke, and any apparent ageing is not smoking related at all. Thus, we know that when she asks that question, it's not genuine at all, and it's evidently done in a mischievous way. She then states, it's the only explanation. Thus, she maintains that she's aged dramatically, and that it must be as a consequence of being a smoker. Kaur knows she's not a smoker. Kaur also knows that Catherine has been unwell and has been receiving treatment, because unless you've been living in a cave in a mountain the last year, you would know full well about the situation concerning the Princess of Wales' health and the subsequent treatment. And anybody that has been in similar circumstances will tell you about the toll that that takes upon you, both physically and mentally. And therefore, if you accept that the Princess of Wales has aged considerably, and I don't think that she has, but let's just say, giving her the benefit of the doubt, that she has, then it's understandable given what she's gone through just recently. She's been unwell and she's received treatment, and Narinder Kaur knows that. Accordingly, having broken down the comment that she made, what do we conclude from it? It's very clear. This comment was clearly designed to provoke. It wasn't a genuine question. It wasn't born out of concern. It wasn't born out of curiosity. Narinder Kaur knows that the Princess of Wales has been unwell, has undertaken treatment. She has formed the view that this means that she's aged, and could just sit there and say, I think she's aged, and it's not really a surprise, is it, given the fact that she's been unwell and she's had treatment. But of course, that's not going to get a response, is it? Other than some people might say, well, actually, I don't think she's aged that much. But yeah, you could see that she has, and if she has done, if you form that view, well, it's understandable, isn't it? Accordingly, you either look at the Princess of Wales and think, no, she looks her age, and all things considered, I don't think she looks any older than her actual age. Or you might conclude, she does look like she's aged a bit, but that's not really a surprise, is it, given the fact that she's been unwell and she's undertaken treatment? Or you could do, as Narinder Kaur has done, which is to state, I think she's aged. What could it be? Is she a smoker? And write that when you know full well that that's complete nonsense. And Narinder Kaur knows that the Princess of Wales has been unwell, knows that she's been receiving treatment, and therefore if she expresses her opinion that she believes that the Princess of Wales has aged, she's done it in full knowledge of those facts, and therefore the clear conclusion is that it was devilment, that it was done mischievously, it was done nastily, it was done to provoke. The next question, having established that there was a clear case of provocation, is what does this tell us about Narinder Kaur? Well, let's assume that she's an empathic individual, meaning that she has lots of emotional empathy. It would be questionable that an empath would make such a comment about somebody else, knowing the circumstances. But on the outside chance, there could be a situation whereby that individual has experienced some external stressor which has reduced their emotional empathy, causing them to write what has been written. I see that as extremely unlikely. Nevertheless, maintaining an open mind about these circumstances and helping you understand the different types of personality that can behave in such a manner, it's important to consider all options. Thus, might she be an empathic individual that has experienced a reduction in her emotional empathy as a consequence of an external stressor? Don't know what that is, if there is one, which has caused her to comment in a provocative way about the Princess of Wales. Because let's not lose sight of this fact. Her comment is provocative. It isn't a genuine query. It isn't a, oh, I wonder. It's designed to provoke. I don't think that this is demonstrative of an empathic individual with a reduced emotional empathy occasioned by an external stressor. But we have to consider that that might be a possibility. Could it be that she is a normal? Well, that is a possibility. After all, the Princess of Wales would be outside of her circle of empathy, therefore she wouldn't naturally have any emotional empathy for her. And it's likely that Narinder Kaur not only enjoys the attention, But because of what she does for a living, she needs to stimulate her presence, make herself seen, and get reactions so that people know about her, so they pay greater attention to her when she pops up as a commentator on the various programs that I've mentioned earlier. Therefore, it is a possibility that this is a normal who is engaged in this behaviour because she doesn't have any emotional empathy for the Princess of Wales, and she's motivated by a need to generate reaction linked to what she does for a living. It's a possibility. Alternatively, Narinder Kaur is a narcissistic individual, meaning that she has limited emotional empathy as a whole and certainly doesn't have any for the Princess of Wales, and also, being self-absorbed, thinks the world needs to know her observations, and she needs to do so linked to her need for profile raising in respect of her job. Again, that's a distinct possibility. Or could Narinder Kaur be a narcissist, and therefore she is engaging in a provocative act because it enables her to assert control over an audience, draw fuel from them by way of the responses, and it also perhaps enables a residual benefit linked to what she does for a living. Again, that's a distinct possibility. Based on the information presented in this tweet, I would suggest that it's highly unlikely that we're dealing with an empathic individual, and therefore that leaves the possibility that it's either a normal, someone who's narcissistic but not a narcissist, or a narcissist, but we can't say for certain based upon one tweet. What we can conclude is this is a provocative tweet, that it is designed to provoke engagement. That much is clear. But what we need to examine is, what's the driver behind that? Is it narcissism? Narcissistic traits? The necessity of enjoying attention as a normal and wanting to get engagement for the purposes of what she does for a living? Naturally, in order to address what she is, we need to look at some more evidence. And I'm going to do that in the next video by analysing her response to the storm that she has created, by analysing her apology video, which is particularly enlightening. Thus, her tweet is clearly provocative. The evidence demonstrates that. But it's a provocative tweet, from what type of person? Let's dig deeper. Join me in the next video as I analyse her behaviours and what she says. You'll find it very insightful.